Good evening, everyone. Good evening, and welcome to the Shanty Sessions lockdown broadcasts featuring the Rogues Shanty Chorus. We're an authentic fishing choir based in Lowestoft, which is the most easterly town in the whole of the UK, and we celebrate the music of fishermen and seafaring communities, singing sea shanties and maritime-themed songs as part of a wider creative arts project that's called the Unique Coastal, Cultural and Musical Heritage of Waveney.
Yeah, Paul, you can't say that after a few shandies, a sea shanty. I don't know. I can't even say it when I haven't drunk anything. But yeah, so just add to that, I want to say good evening and welcome to the stream. Tonight, for the first time, we're actually live both on Facebook and YouTube at the same time. Don't ask me how it works, but I think it is. And so if you know anybody who's wanted previously to join us but hasn't been able to because they're not on Facebook, then they can certainly come and join us on YouTube, one or the other. Yeah,
we should just say as well that all of the broadcasts are available on Facebook. If you have Facebook, you don't have to tune in at the very moment that we are broadcasting, because they're always available for you to view at any point. And that's not just these sessions; it's also the Monday night history sessions with Lowestoft local legend Ivan Bunn.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to do a few hellos now. We've had one from Michelle Gallagher. Good evening. Good evening, Michelle. Thank you very much for joining in. Monica, hello, Paul and Stephen.
Hello, Monica.
Yeah, hello, Monica. Laura Leonardo, hello, with an exclamation mark. And Rachel, oh no, we've lost her there. Linda Boyce, Stephen and Paul. Rachel Youngman says, good evening, everyone. Well, good evening, everyone, to you. And Marion Bouchard, hello again from British Columbia in Canada. So thanks for tuning in, Marion. I've actually prepared a Canadian song just because I know we've got quite a few people who are listening from Canada, and yeah, don't shoot me if it doesn't sound great, but we thought we'd try and make you feel welcome anyway. So I'm going to do that later on, and then we've also got Wendy Duncan, higher again from Wendy and Ken from Much Haddam. So what have we got coming up? We've got
two special guests tonight.
Well, three. In fact, have we got John and Lynn, or is it just John?
It's not just John, or are you thinking of just Jack?
Do I mean only John?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Give me a sign from backstage. I hope he meant Lynn is joining.
How many fingers was it?
So we've got the fantastic John and Lynn from the from Ward Music and the John Ward Band. And that's a very saucy picture. Maybe we need to talk about that in the background. But just John and Lynn joining, not Les and Stephen. And we've also got Zeb Soanes. So both guests this evening, or all three guests, have a Lowestoft connection. So last week we brought you the wonders of technology from Barcelona. We've had somebody from Canada as well, but we're keeping it local tonight because John and Lynn are Lowestofttians, although they're known far and wide for their wonderful music around the folk clubs of the UK and festivals. And Zeb is an ex-Lowestoft guy as well, and probably best known for his dulcet tones reading the shipping forecast. So
wasn't he voted the most recognisable voice on the radio at one point?
Yeah, he was, by his parents.
Well, that's fair enough. That's still valid. We should just say, as you mentioned, Zeb is an actor as well as an author and a broadcaster, and he launched his book recently at the Seagull Theatre. So let's just take that moment to show you the illustration, Gaspard the Fox. And as I say, that was launched at the Seagull Theatre. So I'm going to take the moment to say hello to all our regular choir members, all of our rogues who meet at the Seagull Theatre for our usual fortnightly sessions. Also, hello to new members who've taken an interest since we started these lockdown broadcasts. That was way back on the 17th of March. And in some ways, not much has happened since, and in some ways, an awful lot. Too much has happened. Absolutely. But also, one final special hello to anybody that's joining us for the first time tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you are, let us know, and let us know where you're joining from. So we're gonna crack straight on with the songs, but something we've kind of done. We like it. I don't think a single person watching likes it, but we have this rubbish competition, and it's based on a fantastic old book that I have called Suffolk Words and Phrases by Edward Moores, originally published in 1823. And what we do is we pick a word or a phrase at random out of the book, and that word or phrase is always peculiar to Suffolk. Now, Suffolk, unlike some counties, didn't have its own dialect or even language, but it certainly had a lot of peculiar phrases, some of which we still hear these days, but we try and pick one that is not so well known. And tonight's word is Ganetton. So we'd love to know what you think Ganetton might be. So let us know. Give us a comment.
One other thing we'd love to hear from you, and please do remember that we absolutely love you to join in with your comments and to say hello to us, because it makes us feel like we're actually back into our regular choir sessions. If you're joining in with us, that really makes it worthwhile for us. But one final thing that you could really engage with is, what has been your favorite lockdown snack? Now, this comes all the way from Janice Marjoram. She suggested that we ask you, lovely people, what's been your favorite lockdown snack?
Yeah. So we're actually just publishing that as a question. So we'd love to know, what kind of
In the meantime, I'm going to say hello to a few people again. Kasia Marcinkowska, hello to you. Hello to Martha Knox Forrester. Hello to Jude Bennett, joining for the first time from Manchester, UK. Hello. Also, another newbie. She says, hello, I'm a newbie in Sizewell. Natalie Morby, hello to you. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. And of course,
I'm going to go to Laura Leonardo. First time here from Italy, but I live in Newcastle upon Tyne. So either both exotic location. We've got another Polish person watching, Kasia Marcinkowska, and she just says, check.
And also hello to Pavel Sokol.
Let's find his comment.
He says, check, Kasia. Is that a greeting? Would you let us know from our Polish friends? Is Czesk a greeting?
Yeah.
And are we saying it completely wrong?
I think it must be, yeah. Anyway, what do you say, Paul? Should we give a song or two?
Yeah, I'll kick off, shall I?
Yeah.
Good. Thought so. This will be well known to our regular rogues as number 20. But to everybody else, you might know it along the lines of Blood Red Roses or something similar. But that's what we call it. I'm going to launch into it. I'll give you some history on it afterwards.
Why don't you give them the history?
What?
Why don't you give them the history now?
Because, well, I've started. So it's too late now. I've already started the song.
Yeah, I know.
If we had Andy here, he'd be banging away on his drum right now.
He probably would be, yeah. Hey ho. Okay.
Boots and clothes is all in pawn. Go down, your blood red roses, go down. It's bleeding drafty round Cape Horn. Go down, your blood red roses, go down. Oh, your pinks and posies, go down, your blood red roses, go down. It's round Cape Horn that we must go. Go down, your blood red roses, go down. Around Cape Stiff through ice and snow. Go down, your blood red roses, go down. Oh, your pinks and posies, go down, your blood red roses, go down. My dear old mother wrote to me, go down, your blood red roses, go down. Oh, Sunday sun, come home from sea. Go down, your blood red roses, go down. Oh, your pinks and posies, go down, your blood red roses, go down. It's growl you may, but go you must. Go down, your blood red roses, go down. If you growl too much, your head they'll bust. Go down, your blood red roses, go down. Oh, your pinks and posies, go down. Your blood red roses, go down. It's round Cape Horn you've got to go. Go down, your blood red roses, go down. For that is where the whalefish blow. Go down, you blood red roses, go down. Oh, your pinks and posies, go down, your blood red roses, go down. The gals are waiting right ahead. Go down, your blood red roses, go down. A long, strong pull should shift the dead. Go down, you blood red roses, go down. Oh, your pinks and posies, go down, your blood red roses, go down. You've got your advance to see, you'll go. Go down, you blood red roses, go down. To chase them whales through the frost and snow. Go down, you blood red roses, go down. Oh, you pinks and posies, go down, you blood red roses, go down. It's one more pull and that'll do. Go down, you blood red roses, go down. For we're the boys for the kicker through. Go down, you blood red roses, go down. Oh, you pinks and posies, go down, you blood red roses, go down. Oh, you pinks and posies, go down, you blood red roses, go down.
Yeah, lovely. Okay, Blood Red Roses from Paul there. It's a little bit, tiny bit deeper than you normally do it. Is that, Paul? Could be wrong.
Yeah, it could be because someone interrupted me when I was right in the middle of the opening note.
Oh, okay. It's never good,
yeah,
that, is it?
It's great when you're singing in the boots and you look at the lyrics and realise there's 18 verses left.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Blood Red Roses, and a few comments there already. We've got some food stuff going on. We only mentioned food and people are off. That doesn't take a lot to get you guys talking. So Pavel Serko says, lockdown snack. Better not to say that. Almost 10 kilos more. Fair enough. And he also says, check is hello. Okay. Well, check back to you then. And Cassia says, haha, yes. Check means hi. And Cassia says, sorry for using Polish, but this time I was greeting Pavel. No, please do. Absolutely, please do. Yeah, we love it.
We use our Suffolk words, so you're more than welcome to use your Polish words.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. So, okay, we've got Zeb Soanes coming up, broadcaster in a short while, and we've also got John and Lynne Ward, fantastic folk, just musicians. We don't need to call them folk musicians, fantastic musicians, and they're going to talk to us a little bit about what they've been doing in lockdown and what they plan to do, what they should have been doing, what they hope to do, and what's coming up. So, yeah, I think there's nothing else we need to say. Paul, I'm going to give it a song.
Well, I'm just going to double back onto Blood Red Roses. Just a little bit of context for that. Mainly being what on earth are the Blood Red Roses? Well, there's a few explanations, and there may be a little bit of truth in all of them. Who knows? But one possible explanation is being a quite an upbeat but a whaling song nonetheless. It could be the death spurt of the whale as it pushes water up through its blowhole, but also a little bit of blood because it's been harpooned and speared a few times in order to try and slow it down and catch it. So that blood red rose as the water starts to muddy with blood. It's also thought it's possible that it's a reference to the redcoats of the 18th century British Army, the Bonnie Bunch of Roses of Napoleonic fame. One other reference could be to the pox and likewise to venereal disease. I had no idea how you would catch that on a ship full of men, but I'm sure it's possible.
But you could.
Yeah.
One could. Yeah.
And did.
Yeah. So I'm going to do a song now. I know we've got a few people from Canada who often tune in, and in particular, we're gonna say good evening. No, good. It's probably just good afternoon in Canada to Marion Bichert. Anybody else? If you're Canadian and you like this, let us know. If you're Canadian, you don't like this, just keep quiet. But this is so there's a very well-known Canadian musician, and he wrote a song about missing home, and it's a lovely song. It's very, very popular, and of course I'm not talking about Michael Bublé and Home, but I'm talking about Gordon Lightfoot and a song called The Early Morning Rain. Yeah, maybe not such an obvious choice if there's a few Gordon Lightfoots to choose from, but I'm going to have a go at this anyway. There's no lyrics for this on the screen. It's just me. In the early morning rain, with $1 in my hand, with an aching in my heart, my pockets full of sand, I I'm a long ways from home, and I miss my loved ones so. In the early morning rain, with no place to go. Out on runway number 9, big 707 set to go. But I'm stuck here on the grass, where the cold wind blows. Now the liquor tasted good, and the women all were fast. Well, there she goes, my friend. She's rolling now at last. Hear the mighty engines roar, see the silver bird on high. She's away and westward bound, far above the clouds she flies, where the morning rain don't fall and the sun always shines. She'll be flying over home in about 3 hours time. This old airport's got me down, it's no earthly good to me, 'cause I'm stuck here on the ground, as cold and drunk as be. You can't jump a jet plane like you can a freight train, so I best be on my way in the early morning rain. You can't jump a jet plane like you can a freight train. So very nice. If you don't, thank you.
Yeah.
So early morning rain, just for our Canadian. Well, not just our Canadian people. Well, no, look, I can see a comment there.
Kasia Marcinkowska, yeah, she says, Gordon Lightfoot is one of my favourites. I have to say, Kasia, Gordon Lightfoot is responsible for probably my favourite ever song. It's not that one, but I like that one too. And lovely job, Stephen, from Marion Boucher.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you. You're too kind. And Marion says it's noontime in Canada. Oh. Yeah, so what are they? 7 hours behind, 7 or 8 ish. Yeah, okay. So look, we've got Zeb Soanes coming up soon, broadcaster, actor, and well, he's actually a man who will not be pigeonholed. So if you have heard of Zeb Soanes, I'm sure many of you will have done, but more than likely, many of you will have heard Zeb Soanes, but you may not know who he is. And he's a very well-known broadcaster, and as Paul mentioned earlier, he was actually voted at one point the voice, the most recognizable voice in the UK. And Zeb is actually a Lowestoft guy, born and bred. He's currently a broadcaster, and if you listen to the shipping forecast, you'll certainly know his voice from that, and generally the news and continuity at Radio 4. But actually, Zeb does an awful lot more than that, and we're going to talk to him about some of his other stuff. He's a published author. He is a presenter on many things. He's an actor. He has his own children's YouTube channel, and he does some fantastic impressions as well, which I didn't know. Paul will like this, but we'll see if we can tease one out of him when he comes on. So
he's also a Ballynice guy too.
Ballynice, yes.
Stephen, would you remind us of the Suffolk word of the week? Was it Ganetton?
It was, yeah. You've just gone straight to it. Ganetton, and that is from this wonderful book called Suffolk Words and Phrases by Edward Moore. And he kind of recognised that even when this book was first published in 1823, a lot of these words were very old. And very interestingly, looking through this book, a lot of the words are still used, but we've deliberately been choosing some that are not. So let us know, won't you, what you think it might be? You can have a laugh.
I don't think anybody has ventured it yet.
I don't think they have, no. So it doesn't matter. It's a rubbish competition. You can't win anything, and you're not allowed to use Google. So I don't know. Maybe that's why people are no longer taking part.
We have had a few comments though on favourite lockdown foods. One from Jude Bennett. Cool Doritos dipped in hummus. Jude, I'm a big fan of hummus myself.
Yeah.
David Woods, he likes asparagus tips with a light hollandaise sauce. Now, he has got expensive taste, that man, but a very, very nice snack indeed.
Absolutely.
We've heard from Cassia. She's enjoying a lot of ice cream at the moment, but right now, a big bowl of fresh strawberries. It's very healthy as well. Now, David Woods also mentions that tonight we're on the big screen.
His
big screen. We're featuring on YouTube in the Woods household this evening. You can catch us also on YouTube if you prefer. In your own household, you don't have to go to David and Janet's house to view us on YouTube. You can view
Harry and Jackie Draper, in fact, also watching us on the big screen on YouTube. So this is a first for us. We're broadcasting not just to Facebook, but also YouTube. It's a first for Paul and I, but actually Ivan Bunn and myself did it last night as a trial. So on a Monday evening, we host the fantastic Ivan Bunn, and he does the history sessions, and he talks about all things Lowestoft with a maritime connection or not. Most likely it does, but he's covered the history of Sparrow's Nest. The last night was part 1 of the witch trials of Lowestoft. He's talked about the scores, the beach village. He's promised to talk about Kirkley, south of the bridge, in days gone by, and also the Battle of Lowestoft. And all his sessions, I think we did number 5 last night, number 6 is next Monday. All his sessions are available to watch again, as are ours. And are we on like number 15, Paul? 14. Yeah.
This is a really good juncture to mention that we are very grateful for the support and help of People's Health Trust.
Yeah.
They fund regularly our normal sessions that happen fortnightly on a Tuesday evening, but during lockdown they've been so good as to keep supporting those sessions, and even to the point of them being weekly, so that we can still engage with our rogues, old and new, and keep that feeling, that seafaring songs and the community aspect of it, keep it going, so that we don't feel so lonely. Because this would be pretty lonely for us, just sat in our rooms talking to each other.
Yeah. So anyway, look, we had our Suffolk word. I'm going to feature a comment now from Bim, and he says, "Hiya, Royat, Hatsau and Flippin' Aroitbers." So
I don't think that's anything to do with Ginnetten.
No, it's just some authentic Suffolk for you. Anyway, Sally's had a guess, and she says pronounced Geneten means gin and tonic.
Hey.
Linda says haul the nets in. I don't know if
I like that. I like that a lot.
And then Cassia Marcinkowski says, Paul, now you have to tell us. I'm going to take a guess, Paul, because Cassia is referring to the light, but yeah. Now you're talking, I guess, about if you could read my mind.
Well, if I could read your mind, I wouldn't need to know, because I already know what it is.
But Gordon Lightfoot has also done a fantastic fishing-based song called "The Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald." So, and that's definitely worth a check out. We may even have a go at doing it in a future session. But anyway, look, another guest there, Jude Bennett, Ginnetten, the old local name for a stoat or weasel. Ooh. Now that feels like you might be along the right lines, although that's not any kind of clue. Anyway, shall we do another song, Paul?
Yeah, I'm just going to quickly go down the comments before I do a few more. One from Carly Franklin. My favourite lockdown snack is fruit in one bowl, melted chocolate in another. Half healthy, half not. I know which one's healthy and which one's not. And what else do we have? Now Cassia Marcinkowska, she said that she's heard blood red roses may refer to the marks left by flogging. So that would make a lot of sense. Go down, your blood red roses. You know, you want the marks and the sting to go down.
Yeah. So I'm going to do a few more comments actually about the lockdown snack. We can't feature these ones on screen because they're in the question card. But Cassia says ice cream, virus or no virus, ice cream always helps. Maggie Clark says favorite lockdown snack, prunes. Have to be careful not to eat too many though. I know what you mean, Maggie. Yeah, absolutely. Ben
Otherwise, you might need to Ginnet into the toilet very quickly.
Ben Southern says chilies with anything savoury. Sally Hardman, does gin and tonic count as a snack? Yes, and one of your 4 a day or whatever. Robert Knight says my favourite lockdown meal. Janice Marjoram's famous juniper berry mix, and then Janice Marjoram herself says essential yeast extract, Vitrum R on buttered toast. Janice, that's boring. You got a favourite lockdown snack? Has to be something junky. Anyway, never mind. Let's move on, shall we?
Let's move on. Move them out. I'm going to go for something a little bit more sedate and held back. I'm going to sing this song, which is a bit of a hymn, really. And it's called
Beyond the Sea.
Yeah, I'll sing that one. It's called Beyond the Sea. It's got a little bit of history to it. Not an awful lot of information could be found at the time of printing for us. But we do know that it's one that was sung in the Bethel, which was very close to where we regularly meet with our rogues.
Yeah, so I guess actually just a bit of explanation about that, really, for anybody who doesn't know Lowestoft. But Lowestoft has had a huge kind of fishing industry, really, particularly the middle of the 19th century, but really for the last several hundred years. And it was only really World War I into World War II that sort of put pay to that industry, along with a large area of the town where a lot of the fishermen and the fishermen's families and the supporting infrastructure to the fishermen, a place called the Beach Village or the Grit, or just the beach, that was destroyed through various floods and also incoming industry. And so a factor of those things meant that the fishing industry, which was really huge middle of the 19th century, as a result of Morton Peto doing two things: one, lobbying for Lowestoft to have the status of port town from harbour, but also opening up the train lines, which importantly meant that fresh fish that was caught that day could be taken to Manchester, Birmingham, London, for people to have afternoon tea of fish caught that same day. And so that really meant that the fishing trade exploded. As a result of that, there needed to be a lot of places of worship for all these fishermen that lived in the town. And the Bethel, which is a fishing chapel, was based in Lowestoft and still is, and until up to about, I guess, 15 years ago, was still a functioning place of worship. And just before it was, or as it was being sold to a local amateur dramatics group called the Lowestoft Players, we were fortunate enough to talk to a lady, and she was actually the organist at the Bethel, and she remembers singing this next song that Paul is about to sing when she went to Sunday school at the Bethel, and she guessed she was maybe 7, 8, 9 years old, and she was a considerable age when we spoke to her. So
we know of which, somebody who isn't a considerable age, but Linda Boyce also says she went to Sunday school at the Bethel. I wonder if you sang this song as well.
Yeah, we'll find out. Let us know.
Yeah, a few other things on this. It was composed by Joseph Lincoln Hall. Now he lived 1866 to 1930, and it's in the worship hymn book New Songs of the Gospel for use in all religious meetings, which was published in 1900. So we know it's at least that old as a tune anyway. But it could well be that the lyrics date back quite a bit further. Now, I'm sure we all remember the first publication of Moby Dick by Herman Melville and the Blue Notes, which was published in 1851. And some of the lyrics appear in the epilogue there. The great shroud of the sea rolls on as it rolled 5,000 years ago, and as it shall in 5,000 years, softly in the darkness, beyond the sea that rose between.
Well, that's
and
lovely.
We sing it like this. Beyond the sea that rolls between this world of care and things unseen, there is a land of endless day, where all our tears are wiped away. Beyond the sea, the restless rolling sea, I hear my loved ones gently calling me. I soon shall live above the shores of time, and dwell forever in God's celestial clime. Beyond the sea lies heaven's fair shore, where all our sins and cares are o'er, where care and toil have passed away, where weary feet no more shall stray. Beyond the sea, the restless rolling sea, I hear my loved ones gently calling me. I soon shall live above the shores of time, and dwell fore'er in God's celestial clime. No more shall beat the flood of years across these forms so frail and worn. No more shall roll the sea of tears across these hearts by anguish torn. Beyond the sea, the restless rolling sea, I hear my loved ones gently calling me. I soon shall live above the shores of time and dwell forever in God's celestial clime. Beyond the sea, there's rest and peace. There Jesus bids his children come. Beyond the sea, the tempest cease. Their angels sing, oh, welcome home. Beyond the sea, the restless rolling sea, I hear my loved ones gently calling me. I soon shall live above the shores of time and dwell forever in God's celestial clime. Beyond the sea, the restless rolling sea, I hear my loved ones gently calling me. I soon shall live above the shores of time and dwell forever in God's celestial clime.
Lovely, yeah, very nice. So, just a reminder, Paul was singing a song called "Beyond the Sea," not the Bobby Darin version,
no,
but
not Bobby Darin.
This was a very old. It's an American fishing worship song, and written for worship and for funerals by Joseph Mashore and Frank Lincoln. And as we mentioned earlier, if you just tuned in, we in our hometown of Lowestoft, we have a Bethel, which is a fisherman's place of worship. And up until about 10 or 15 years ago, it was still used as a place of worship. And as it had been sold for reuse by a local amateur dramatics group, we managed to talk to a lady who was the organist there. And she remembers singing this song as when she went along to Sunday school. So it's of considerable age, lovely song, and it's a song that we do with our choir when we can be physically meeting together, as we would be right now on a Tuesday evening. So that's Beyond the Sea.
We should just say, talking of sea, Marion Bouchert, who is some way beyond the sea, or the ocean, the Atlantic Ocean, anyway, she suggests that we should know every time we say Lowestoft, the online text captioning says lowest stuff. Now, we are very much Suffolk boys, born and bred at heart, and we try and put on our best telephone voices for these broadcasts. But unfortunately, you can take the boy out of Suffolk, and at the moment, I've been plonked into Norfolk. Ooh. But you can't take the Suffolk out of the boy. So we are saying Lowestoft, because if you don't say Lowestoft, you're not allowed back in ever.
Well, no, hang on a minute, Lola. That's a neat way to bring our guest in, because based on that, I don't think Zeb's dulcet tones would ever allow him to be to come back into the county, and I'm sure his parents would have something to say about that. So I'm just going to bring Zeb in now, and now. For anybody who doesn't know, we were talking about this earlier, Zeb, and we said that a lot of people in Lowestoft would have heard of you. A lot of people further afield would have heard of you, and certainly across the world. But we think that maybe a lot of more people would have just heard you without knowing quite who you were. And
it depends what they listen to. But if they've listened to Radio 4 over the past 18 years, gosh, which it is now,
wow,
then they would have heard me, certainly. And it's so nice to talk to you guys and to be connected to Lowestoft. Whenever it comes up in the national news, hopefully for good reasons, I always give it the local pronunciation.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Fantastic. Now, so we were just kind of we for anybody who doesn't know, as we just mentioned, Zeb is from Lowestoft. We went to the same school as Zeb, and so we've kind of known Zeb for a long time. And Zeb very, very graciously recorded some narrative for a show that our Rogues Shanty Chorus did a year or two ago now, and everybody within our chorus said because we flashed up a picture with a sort of thank you, and everybody said, "Is that what Zeb looks like?" Because everybody must have an opinion when you're a voice for radio of what you must look like.
Well, when I first started working at Radio 4, I didn't have the beard then, because I've been there a very, very long time. I was in my 20s, and a producer came in, having booked me to record a voiceover for her, and she said, "Hello, I've come to meet Zeb Soanes." And I said, "Hello, that's me." And she said, "No, it's not." I said, "What do you mean?" She said, "You have a beard." I said, "What?" She said, "In my head, you have a beard."
Yeah.
And I must admit, when I grew the beard, I kind of felt that I'd kind of grown into how I sound, I suppose. But it's
yeah.
But it is funny. And also, when I started working at Radio 4, I'd grown up. I mean, back home in Lowestoft, back home, listening to the shipping forecast and listening to Radio 4 and hearing all these amazing voices, which then went on to become my colleagues. To walk into an office on that first day and see them was extraordinary, because they did not look how they sounded.
Yeah.
Well, the consensus among our choir was that you're far too handsome for radio.
Oh, well. I love them all.
So, I mean, just talking about your voice, because I read somewhere that at one point you were voted the most recognizable voice in the UK.
With Jane Garvey as the female voice. Yes, that was extraordinary, and of course it changes all the time. But yeah, that was amazing.
But that's quite something.
Well, it's lovely for people to appreciate what you do, and so yeah, of course that's lovely.
And I'll just tell everybody as well, if you ever speak to Zeb, you'll find yourself saying, not as I normally do, something, but something. I just pushed the TH and the G there just for you, Zeb. But I think you just got me on my toes. I'm just watching my diction a bit. It's
funny. It's a particular thing with the Suffolk accent, is that we lose the middles of words. So shouldn't, wouldn't, couldn't, doesn't becomes shouldn't, wouldn't, couldn't, done.
Yeah. And so I guess the thing is, people think that you are the voice of the shipping forecast and Radio 4, but actually, you know, you won't be put down just as that. You know, I've kind of been watching with interest at the fantastic kind of Gaspard the Fox. Firstly, the story, you know, the real story, which maybe you'd share with us, but then the book launch, and very recently some other fantastic, very exciting news.
So there's the kind of, well, first of all, I wanted to be an actor. So when I left Lowestoft and went to university, it was very much wanting to have a career as a performer. And then when I started going for acting work, they would say, "Oh, well, you look like the part, but you sound like his father." So so moving into radio was actually a very useful thing at that time, because suddenly it didn't matter what you looked like anymore. So then I had my kind of radio broadcasting career, which I hadn't kind of planned. I'd planned to have a career playing other people and being characters. I wanted to be a character actor. So I've had this nearly 20-year career being myself. And then 2 years ago, I was cycling home from work and saw a little fox in the street. In London, there are foxes everywhere. There are at least 30 foxes to every square mile, every square kilometer. They're everywhere. And there was this beautiful little fox, and I just started taking pictures with my phone. And they went mad on Instagram and Twitter. I mean, like 15,000, 20,000 likes, because it was this extraordinarily beautiful fox. And that was just it. And then a couple of friends said, "You know, this is extraordinary that this fox trusts you and comes and would often come and sit next to me as I was folding my bicycle." I've got one of those folding bikes. And they said, "You know, you should write about this." So one day on a long train journey, I wrote the first Gaspard the Fox book. And then the third one comes out in February. So it's, you know, it's wonderful that it's become this, thank you very much, that it's become this thing. And James, the illustrator of the stories, is also a Lowestoft boy, and from Blunderston originally.
Wow. But it's not just and so there's actually been I think quite a recent development. Are we allowed to mention that? There's not an embargo on your news of
No, not at all. No.
2021.
Yes. So one of the other things I do is I narrate with orchestras. So things like Peter and the Wolf, Babar the Elephant, the Snowman, which I've been doing I used to present the proms, and that led to working with orchestras, which is wonderful. It's one of my favorite things. And the third Gaspard story, called Gaspard's Foxtrot, where he makes his way on a London bus all the way to Hyde Park to the prom in the park and ends up on stage, has been set to music by Jonathan Dove, who's arguably our finest contemporary choral composer. Was awarded the CBE this year, and he's set it to music, and that premieres at the South Bank in London on February the 20th. There are 2 afternoon performances, and then that will go on a national tour next year with James live painting on stage. So if any of you remember Tony Hart, those art programs, or Neil Buchanan, Art Attack, James will be painting on the stage. I'll be narrating with the Royal Philharmonia Symphony Orchestra. So that's going to be very exciting next year. And
isn't that how you launched at the Seagull with James painting live?
Yes, with music by another composer, Chris Warner, who's done the music for the audiobooks which we have for the books, which is wonderful. And this is then turning it into a kind of full orchestra. The music we did at the Seagull was a one-man band. Chris is amazing. He plays about 30 instruments simultaneously sometimes.
How brilliant.
Yeah, so that's what we're working towards in February.
And then I guess the thing which I hadn't caught up with was just your and I'd heard you on the occasional kind of game show or panel show on radio or TV, and so I probably should have guessed really, or not been surprised, but just listening to some of your impressions that you do as part of your celebrities, just amazing. I'm going to ask, Paul hasn't heard these yet, but I'm going to ask Paul to listen to your Ian McKellen after this, because he thinks he does a pretty good Ian McKellen, but I mean, yeah.
Oh, I'd love to hear it. I'd love to hear it.
No, you wouldn't.
But all my life since I was a child, I've mimicked voices and stolen voices, and had a musical ear. And my sister and I had a little portable tape recorder, and we would pretend to be Terry Wogan or a radio interviewer, and then the other one would be the guest. So she would be Margaret Thatcher, and I would be a variety of male people and sometimes female people. And but I've never really done anything with it. And over the years, when I was at school in Lowestoft, I used to impersonate the teachers, which was a way of getting out of being bullied. And then when I started working, I would just steal voices of people I work with, and on the telephone pretend to be someone else. I mean, purely for my own fun and enjoyment. And I've never really known what to do with it professionally. I've toyed with the idea of maybe doing a one-man show about one of these people. Alec Guinness was my acting hero when I was maybe want to be an actor, and I loved all of his Ealing comedies. And when I was still living in Lowestoft, I wrote to him, and at the time he was famous because of Star Wars, but he'd stopped really replying to fan mail because he got so much. So I got his address from Who's Who in Lowestoft Library, and I wrote him this letter. And I think because I didn't mention Star Wars at all, I talked about all of his early stage stuff. 1 week later, this beautiful handwritten reply came. And I remember his correspondence card just said Guinness at the top. And he sent me the most beautiful reply, wishing me luck with my career. I mean, it's one of my most treasured things. So during lockdown, we've all had this time to be creative. And one evening I was in the kitchen, and I just imagined what Ian McKellen might sound like if he was ordering a Deliveroo takeaway, as you do. Yeah. And that's how this idea for Celebrities was born. And I thought, I don't need to come up with a big show. I'll just do tiny little scenes where these famous voices talk about something really ordinary and banal. So Ian McKellen talks about his favorite childhood treat, and these are all invented, and his is trifle because it sounds good in his voice.
Fantastic. And there are some great other ones as well. And we definitely would urge, I'm just going to bring this on screen now, but we'd urge anyone to have a listen, because this actually, this actually is not just, you're not just wasting time or having a bit of fun here, are you? This is actually to raise money for a benevolent cause.
Yeah, well, lots of my friends are actors and musicians, and of course, what do actors and musicians do when they can't work? They work in pubs and restaurants, and so all of the income streams of my musician and actor friends have been completely cut off, and some of them are really, really struggling. So the Equity Benevolent Fund, Equity, as many of you know watching, is the Actors Union. There's also another charity called Acting for Others, which doesn't just include performers, but it includes all of the stage technicians as well who have lost work. And the Noel Coward Foundation just gave £50,000 towards it. And Noel Coward is one of the voices in celebrities that I do. So they're all just out there on Spotify and Apple. And if you enjoy them, I encourage you to maybe make a small donation to one of those charities. But the main thing is to just have some fun.
Yeah, well, what a wonderful thing, Zeb. Thank you for sharing that with us. I'm going to have to mention some of these comments from our viewers at the moment. First come from Ben Southern. She says, we met Zeb at the Pavilion Theatre in 2016. And also from Claire Louise Langley. Hey, Zeb, hope you're doing okay and well.
Hello, Claire.
I'm going to bring up one from Carly Franklin now. I was wondering whereabout we could get Zeb's books, as would love to get my nieces one each. There you go.
Well, there's a website, gaspardthefox.com, which you can order them through, but they're in every single bookshop. So wherever you normally buy your books, and please support your little local independent bookshops if you have them, because they're struggling too. But yes, you can get them anywhere. The first book is Gaspard the Fox, second one, Gaspard Best in Show.
Lovely. So if Carly, I think Carly is local, and Carly Beccles Books in Lowestoft is in Beccles, funnily enough, is an independent bookshop, and Waterstones in Lowestoft is also just open. So buy in a shop, please.
A couple of other comments. Sandra, one of our regulars, she's just tuned in, but she says, love Zeb's voice. And I think he's going to keep it though, Sandra, so you can't have it. And also from a couple of fans of John Ward. John Ward and Lynne Ward are our musical guests later this evening. Now, Mel and Kev Dale, they suggest, since we've got Zeb now and John and Lynn coming on later, how about a collaboration with the Iron Bridge? Now, the Iron Bridge is a special project that John has, and I'm not sure if you're familiar with it, but I'm sure you will be after today.
Yeah, it's well, John is going to tell us about it a bit more later. It's not a new project for John, but it's I guess we call it an art project of some kind. It's a book.
Based on a book, I believe, isn't it?
That's right. Yes, literary. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're going to ask John and Lynn to talk a bit more about that. But
John sang at my 30th birthday party in Lowestoft.
And that must have been last year, was it?
Oh, bless your heart.
That's Nepal. Okay, so I guess there was one other thing, and I'm grasping to try and think of it now. While I do, I'm just going to bring up your web links. I guess we may have missed some. So was it Gaspard the Fox had his own website address?
Yeah, so just gaspardthefox.com, Gaspard with a D. But if you go to my website, you'll find links to that through there.
Super. And that was it. Yeah. So you've also been so I found your children's tales on YouTube. I've got a 4-year-old son who's very impressed and cannot believe that you grew up in the same town as me, because you don't sound like him, Daddy. But also off the back of that, which I found fascinating, was your interest in I'm going to forget the word now. Megaphone. No. I'm going to come back to it. I'm having one of those moments.
Is this based on the concert we did together at the Bethel? No.
No, sorry, the gramophone. I beg your pardon. That's the word. Your
yes. My old wind-up gramophone. Yes, which is just here.
Oh, wonderful.
Which made its way into one of the children's tales.
Well, yeah. During the other thing I've been doing during lockdown, because all the book festivals have been cancelled, is every couple of weeks making a little YouTube film based on the Gaspard stories, but very loosely based on them, but just exploring lockdown for children. So the last episode is called Gaspard's Den, and in the last one I interviewed a local librarian about what facilities libraries have to offer in lockdown. And in one of the films it started with my wind-up picnic gramophone, and loads of children contacted me, because I remember when I showed it to my nieces and nephews, all of their music just came from digital downloads. So they were even kind of too old for CDs. So to show them this thing that didn't plug into the wall was like something from Harry Potter. You know, it was extraordinary.
Magic, yeah.
Yeah. Now I'm just going to come back to
I have a Grafanola, which is, I think it's kind of the next model. It was about 1920s, and where the bell, the sound horn is hidden within the kind of the furniture of it.
Ah, yes.
But it's such a beautiful piece.
And
still
so,
wind up.
The only thing, I mean, with mine, the only thing you can't alter the volume on it, so it's very, very loud.
Yeah, and I saw the stuff in the sock in.
Well, yeah, where the expression "put a sock in it" comes from, just to dampen the sound.
I'm just going to bring one comment up, Zeb, because this is from David Woods, and he says, "Love to hear Zeb's reading of Les Barker's fishing forecast."
Ah, yes, there've been lots of kind of comedy versions of the shipping forecast over the years, and Les Barker's is one of them.
Okay, right. So that was lost on me, but okay. So, well, I mean, I think, is there anything you'd like to mention that you've got coming up? It seems like the world is on a hiatus.
Well, I'm hoping for your local viewers that the annual Snape Maltings family concert that I do will still go ahead. That's the Sunday before Christmas. This year we always do the Snowman and another narrated piece. So last year it was Little Red Riding Hood, Roald Dahl's Little Red Riding Hood. So hopefully that will still go ahead. So it's always lovely to end my year back home in Suffolk. So that's coming up locally. And I can't wait to come up and see the family. We're a very close family, and they're all in Lowestoft. I'm the only one who ran away to join the circus, as it were. So I hope that will be soon. All these pictures behind me are local: Blytheborough Church, Southwold Beach, Walberswick. So my home, Suffolk, is here all around me in London all the time. It's very important to me.
Well, it hasn't gone unnoticed. Sally Hardman says, "I like the paintings on Zeb's wall."
Well, they're John Brunston. He's based in Stradbroke near Eye. And when I bought these, he was in his 80s. So, I mean, I very much hope he's still alive. But yeah, that was some time ago.
Wow. Well, Zeb, so we want to say thank you very much. I know you're a very busy guy, and we've been hoping to sort of get you on for a little while. And for anyone who's not really caught this from the beginning, or even a previous stream, Paul and I lead a local group called the Rogues Shanty Chorus, and we're very kind of interested in celebrating and exploring the associated heritage of the fishing industry, the town both Paul and I and Zeb grew up in, because we think it is something to celebrate. And so for the past 4 years, we've been running the Rogues Shanty Chorus, and a slightly wider project that looks to kind of bring the songs, in particular folk songs and sea shanties of the industry and those communities, to newer audiences. So we work in schools as well. But how this kind of came about is that on a Tuesday evening, we normally would be rehearsing with our choir or even performing occasionally. And lockdown started. So mid-March, we kind of had to make the decision to suspend the project for the safety and health of everybody who took part. And so many people commented saying, can you do something online? Can you share a previous video taken or a song link or something? And so it kind of evolved from that, and they've turned into these broadcasts rather than just virtual rehearsals. And so that we've kind of had guests in each week, and we've had so many comments from people or messages saying, what about Zeb Soanes? Can you get Zeb Soanes in? So you obviously there's a huge fondness from people of Lowestoft, and we also, there's a lot of people from way further afield.
Well, and that means the world to me. And when I'm reading the shipping forecast at Radio, the actual building that Radio 4 comes from, Broadcasting House, is like an ocean liner. It's at the top of Regent Street in London, with lots of little kind of porthole windows. And I'm up on the 4th floor at 12 minutes to 1 in the morning reading the shipping forecast. But my mind goes straight back to Pakefield Beach. When I'm reading that, it's like a direct connection to home. So it means the world to me that it kind of, that traffic goes both ways, because it's even though I've lived in London for 20 years, Lowestoft is my home, and one day I do very much hope that things will allow me to kind of spend more time back there. It's very important. It's a fantastic town. It's got so much going for it, such rich history, which you guys celebrate. And I get very defensive of it. I hate to hear it knocked and chipped away at, because it's very easy to do that for anywhere where you live, and particularly when somewhere is struggling. And all seaside towns in England, have seen better days, and so many people are trying to make things better. In Lowestoft, there are all kinds of arts initiative, and the First Light Festival last year, which, I mean, it's such a shame that hasn't been able to happen this year, but all of those things really need to be embraced and celebrated, because people are working very hard to make things better.
Absolutely. And of course, that would be a really good moment to also give a big shout out to the teachers of the arts. The three of us all shared one in Leslie Halley for our drama lessons, and a wonderful teacher she was as well. And
in fact, she did comment on a previous occasion on one of the streams, so she may even be watching. Or
excellent. If you are, Leslie, thank you very much, because I don't think I certainly wouldn't be here doing what I'm doing if it wasn't for you. And Leslie was thanked in a Best Actor BAFTA speech, which I was sitting at home watching on television. And what more could any drama teacher want than the Best Actor at the BAFTAs to thank her? And it was richly.
Maybe some resources from the government, but apart from that,
no politics. No. So Zeb, look, we're going to say thank you very, very much. I will actually just come to your First Light acknowledgement, because First Light, although the physical or the in real life festival isn't happening, which should have been this weekend across the solstice, they are doing an online version, and there's going to be several live Facebook live events and social media live events and pre-recorded bits and pieces. And in fact, John and Lynne will be featuring, so we're going to be talking to them a bit about that. So anyone watching, I know actually we've had a few comments already saying, can you mention First Light? So the real festival won't be happening, but there will be virtual streams and broadcasts in its place. But we do have to move on, because we're going to do a few more songs and then get John and Lynne in. And we do want to say thank you once again, Zeb, for joining us. And a couple more comments to finish with. Sally, well said, Zeb. Thanks for championing little old Lowestoft.
Big old.
Big old.
Yeah, absolutely. Sandra Warner says, so well said. Well done, Zeb. And then, one more. Janice Marjoram, when in Cornwall, our daughter and her partner liked listening to the nighttime shipping forecast, especially when the weather was blowing a hoolie. I thought it was hooey.
I think it's hooey.
Yeah.
I think it's hoolie.
Hoolie, okay. You've caused arguments here.
There's
now, Janice.
Thank you so much. What a wonderful guest you've been for us tonight.
Well, thank you very much for having me. It's been, a lovely little connection back home. So thank you for that.
Not at all. Thank you. Okay. So we're going to say goodbye, Zeb, and we're going to carry on. And that was Zeb Soanes, fantastic guest, fellow Lowestoftian. I don't know if that's a thing, but you can catch his all his web links here, and I think there's some more as well. It's also on Spotify and YouTube, and Gaspard the Fox has his own website as well. So how about that? A lot of wonderful comments and love coming in from Zeb. So we're going to tag Zeb's socials from ours, and if you are watching and want to catch it again, you missed any, you can do. You can rewind this thread live, or you can just watch again. But I think we're going to do another song or two. Paul, what do you think?
Yeah, I think, shall I go for one?
Yes.
Now, you said no politics.
Yeah.
And I don't often get very political, but Zeb himself mentioned Equity, the Actors Union. And this next song is very much a union song. It's based on the miners and the call to arms. But I'm going to start off singing it, and then I'm going to give you a little bit of history about it afterwards. It's called The Miners' Lifeguard, and it goes like this. A miner's life is like a sailor's aboard ship to cross the waves. Every day his life's in danger, still he ventures being brave. Watch the rocks, they're falling daily. Careless miners always fail. Keep your hand upon your wages and your eye upon the scale. Union miners stand together Do not heed the owner's tale. Keep your hand upon your wages and your eye upon the scale. You've been docked and docked again, boys. You've been loaded 3 for 1. What have you to show for working when your mining days are done? Worn out boots and worn out miners, blackened lungs and faces pale. Keep your hand upon your wages and your eye upon the scale. Union miners, stand together. Do not heed the owner's tale. Keep your hand upon your wages and your eye upon the scale. In conclusion, bear in memory, keep this watchword in your mind. Worker strength cannot be broken when in union they're combined. So stand up tall and stand together. Victory, for you'll prevail. Keep your hand upon your wages and your eye upon the scale. Union miners, stand together. Do not heed the owner's tale. Keep your hand upon your wages and your eye upon the scale. Keep your hand upon your wages and your eye upon the scale. Keep your hand upon your wages and your eye upon the scale.
Okay, some lovely comments on that. Michelle Gallagher, one of my favorites. Sally Hardman says, I love the harmony for this one. And then quickly followed by, sorry, Stephen, banging on about harmonies again.
We miss the harmonies very much. We can't wait until the days when we can hear the harmonies for real.
Yeah, if we can still remember harmonies or even what harmony means, let's hope so. Then Carly Franklin says, yes, love this song. Gillian Lamar Collins says, one of my favorite songs, also brilliantly sung by Short Drag Roger. Now, we know those guys, actually. We've done a couple of festivals with them, and they're brilliant. Martha Knox Forrester, well sung, Paul. I think she said sung, yeah. And then Charlie Moore says, great song. So I just want to add to that. We, at the Great Yarmouth Maritime Festival, I think maybe it was last year or the year before.
It was the recent one, yeah.
The fantastic organisers, John Griffiths and Sue, brilliant work that they do. And I know Sue has not been very well, but also they've been truly gutted that it's been cancelled for this year. But last year we had the pleasure of singing that song with them, and along with John and Lynne and the John Ward Band, who were hosting the sing around within the venue. And they just sort of casually disclosed to us that they'd sung it with was it Arthur Scargill?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, quite. Anyway, I was just geeking out at that. Anyway.
Yeah, I was, and it was at that point that I think we said, "Well, now you get to sing it with the Rogues Shanty Boys," which was just as momentous. Now, the Miners' Lifeguard, or as some know it, the Miners' Life, originated as one of the gutter choir songs in the sliding scale strike, which united the South Wales miners together and formed one big union as the South Wales Miners' Federation. The miners looked around for a tune. Lo and behold, one had just been written to the Welsh hymn, Calon Lan, forgive me if that's incorrectly pronounced, which in English is A Pure Heart. This was a big hit on that day. The sliding scale strike was fought by the miners against the South Wales coal owners, who had implemented the sliding scale agreement. This basically said that as the coal market went down, the miners' wages also went down. And it gives that chorus that memorable line, keep your hands upon your wages, keep your eye upon the scale, for that very reason.
Yeah.
Now, there's also there's also a very similar song, almost the same song. It's called Life is Like a Mountain Railroad. Now, I was of the opinion that came prior to that came prior to the miners' lifeguard. But I found some research online to suggest that actually it wasn't quite as simple as that.
What does that mean?
It means I've lost my place on the page.
Yeah, Google hasn't answered. No. So just going to come back to a couple of comments there, actually. Sally Hardman, she's laughing. I don't know why she's laughing. She's always laughing. Linda Boyce says, love it. Michelle Gallagher, clap, clap, clap. And there's a couple of other comments which actually relate to our lockdown question. And our lockdown question is, what has been your favorite lockdown snack? Now, we can't share these comments because they're in the question card, but we've done a few already. Janice Marjoram says, snacks and munchies, many types of chocolate, biscuits, cake, beer, wine, etc. I think, Janice, you said that because you originally put
her out about the Marmite.
Yeah, you put quite a goody lockdown food, and you said essential yeast extract, Vitram R on buttered toast. And we said that sounded a bit boring, but I was only teasing, Janice. And then Anne Ben says Kit Kat. Oh, yes, got to love a Kit Kat. Absolutely. So where are you at, Paul? Did you find what you were looking for?
Basically, I think from memory, it was just that the Life is Like a Mountain Railroad was based on the Callan Land, the Welsh tune prior to it. So it seems to have crossed the Atlantic to become Life is Like a Mountain Railroad, and then come back across during the miners' strike to become the miners' lifeguard.
Wonderful. Now I'm going to do a song. Now this is, for anyone who's a member of our choir, this is 53. It's in our repertoire. It's a great song called Strike the Bell. We got our version. I mean, it was requested by one of our guys to do it, but we got our version from this book, Songs of the Sea by Stan Hugel. Broadly considered the sailors or the shantyman's Bible. And Stan Hugel was quite a character, but certainly he was a Welshman. He was the last paid shantyman on board any ship, and you can certainly see YouTube recordings of him talking about a fantastic passion for making sure that shanties were recorded and archived and passed on, and he had a fantastic passion for telling the stories behind them as well. And he's a very captivating storyteller, but also a fantastic singer and a very captivating singer as well. So definitely worth checking out on YouTube. And we talk about him a lot. But this is a song that features in that book, and he calls it a pumping song. There aren't many pumping songs. In fact, we do. I can't think of any others, but we do one called "Leave Her Johnny," which is another one. But he calls it a pumping song, and he says it's particularly popular on the Scandinavian ships and the German ships as well. And yeah, so Strike the Bell. And what they're actually celebrating here is when the bell is struck at the end of a watch. So generally how it works is a watch would be 4 hours long, and that would go midnight to 4 a.m., 4 a.m. to 8 a.m., then till midday, then till 4 p.m., 8 p.m., midnight, and around again. And the watch, you'd get a 30-minute bell rung, funnily enough, every 30 minutes. And so on the 8th bell, you knew that was the end of your watch, and you could get down into the safety, the warmth, and the comfort of the relative comfort of the cabin below. But so this is a song that celebrates that striking of the bell. And yeah, I'm going to bring up some lyrics if you want to sing along. He says, okay. After on the corridor, walking about, there is the second mate, so steady and so stout. He's thinking of his sweetheart, and he's hoping she is well. He wished that old second mate would strike the bell, second mate, let's go below. Look out to windward, you can see it's gonna blow. Look at the glass, you can see that it has fell. We wish that you would hurry up and strike the bell. Forward on the forecastle head and keep in sharp lookout. There is Johnny waiting, ready for the shout. Lights burning bright, sir, and everything is well. But he's in that old second mate would strike the bell, second mate. Let us go below. Look out to windward, you can see it's gonna blow. Look at the glass, you can see that it has fell. We wish that you would hurry up and strike the bell. Down on the main deck and working at the pumps, there is the larboard watcher ready for their bunks. Over to windward they see a great swell, and he's wishing that old second mate would strike the bell, second mate. Let us go below. Look out to windward, you can see it's gonna blow. Look at the glass, you can see that it fell. We wish that you would hurry up and strike the bell. Aft at the wheel, poor Anderson stands, grasping the spokes in his coat midden hands. Looking at the compass and the course is clear as hell, but he's wishing that old second mate would strike the bell, second mate. Let us go below. Look out to windward, you can see it's gonna blow. Look at the glass and you can see that it has fell. We wish that you would hurry up and strike the bell. Aft on the quarter deck, our gallant captain stands, looking to windward with the glasses in his hand. What he is thinking of we know very well. He's thinking more of shortening sail than strike the bell, second mate. Let us go below. Look out to windward, you can see it's gonna blow. Look at the glass, you can see that it has fell. We wish that you would hurry up and strike the bell, second mate. Let us go below. Look out to windward, you can see it's gonna blow. Look at the glass, you can see that it has fell. We wish that you would hurry up and strike the bell. Okay, so strike the bell. In the Roud Folk Index, there's 4190. If you wanted a bit more information, 4190, and it's a pumping song. As kind of actually, we do have another book. I can't quite reach over, but it's a song by William Mayne Dorflinger, who was an American folk song collector, an ethnomusicologist and archivist, and he recorded a separate American version and a Canadian or Nova Scotian version as well. Very similar melody, but very different lyrics. And so yeah, both all three versions worth checking out. But we're obviously staying with the British one, which was our Welshman Stan Hugel.
Mm. And perhaps a lot of people may not realise how important the pump songs were. You often think about boats taking on water, meaning they must be sinking, but that wasn't necessarily true unless they're taking on a lot of water. But that's where a pump shanty would really come into its own to get that water overboard as quickly as possible. Bear in mind that, as Stephen was saying, Nova Scotian waters would be pretty cold. When you're chasing the whale, you tend to chase the winters around the globe. And if you think about how wood reacts differently throughout different climates, so in a dry climate, a lot of the timbers in the ship would dry out and start to the cracks would start to appear because as the wood got drier, it would decrease in size. So the planks weren't quite touching together, but then as it got wetter, they would swell up again. But with frozen climates, totally different dynamic once again. Now, Pavel Soko,
come on to that, Paul, because this was obviously in the days when boats and ships were made of wood, and as the old saying goes, when boats and ships were made of wood, men were made of steel.
Yeah. So what were men made of when boats and ships were made of steel?
Well, then they used something else because it was cheaper to import it from somewhere else.
Yeah, that's true. But it's very true. I've heard that saying. I've heard you say it before.
Yeah, I've heard it a lot.
Pavel Soko, he says, I like it. Never heard that. I get used to shanties sung in Polish, or more often those which are English but translated also to our language. Now, he challenged us to pronounce his surname. I think he was making jest of us for...
no, it's Marcia. I think he was actually, but he was being very gentle. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure he was. But we'd love to give it a try. Pavel, if you would enlighten us with your surname, because Soko, he said, is actually his nickname.
Ah, okay. So I'm going to feature a few more comments, particularly appreciation for that song. Thank you very much. Sally, applause. Carly, applause. Michelle, applause. Martha, Knox. Oh, she gave me 4 claps, whereas I only got 3 from the other lady. So thank you, Martha. Now I want to come on to this next comment as well. This is from Alan George, and he says, evening, folks. Is this songbook you keep referring to on a website that you can download and print off so you can sing along with the same words you're using? Tar. Well, not quite. Not quite, Alan. So the Roud Folk Index is actually based on a folk musician called Steve Roud, who very nobly, he took it upon himself to start his initially his own kind of archive or cataloguing of British folk music, which eventually then was taken on and used as a recognizable thing across the whole of the United Kingdom, but actually then extended to songs from other countries that were known within the UK. And this was I'm not going to talk with a huge amount of authority on this, but this was actually based on the fact that after World War I, it was recognized that a lot of the culture and the arts from Britain had become destroyed, or certainly was at risk of being kind of forgotten. And that's always been the case. You know, folk songs, if they don't get passed on, they get forgotten. And we've listened to many an archive recording of some old guy in a pub who's been persuaded to sing a song that only he remembers. He's the only guy in the village that remembers it, and they give him suitable libation, enough pints, and he's persuaded. And so without having done that recording and archive, the song might well have just been forgotten from that village or area. And there's a fantastic organization called the East Anglian Traditional Music Trust who hold a lot of archives of such recordings. Steve Roud took it upon himself to start cataloguing these songs, and so it exists. There are thousands and thousands of songs, and very importantly for me, the Roud Folk Index has a way of cross-referencing one song from another. So if you know the opening lyric, or if you know the opening lyric has several different mondegreens, which are slightly different versions, it helps you to find the song, and then it all has lots of other information. I think it's only available online. You can visit it. Just type in Roud Folk Index into Google. I know reference libraries hold copies as well, but they're not open at the moment.
But we should say to Alan that if your specific aim is to sing along with these songs using the same words that we are using, we do flicker the lyrics up on screen as we sing them. So these broadcasts are available to view again. You just need to go back onto Facebook or now YouTube after the broadcast is finished, and you'll find them published, and the lyrics will still be on screen, so you can use the lyrics to sing along in real time. Roud is R-O-U-D.
Yeah, R-O-U-D. That's how we spell it. Now, just 2 more comments, and then Paul's going to give us a song, and then we're going to get our next guests in, John and Lynne Ward, fantastic musicians. And Sandra says, this is the first comment, come on, boys, try Sokos name.
I'm going to.
And then Pavel has actually put it out for, my goodness, you can do this and embarrass yourself, Paul.
Now, the German part, Pavel, is quite easy. I wonder if that double S should be a scharfes S, but I would say that is pronounced Hasenflug. Yeah, but the Polish part is trickier. Wusniewski.
Yeah, that sounds like, you know, when they said they played the Beatles songs backwards.
Hasenflug.
Yeah. Okay. So you got another song in you, Paul?
No, let's go to John and Lynne, because we're good. We're very much admirers of their music. We've missed them very much. They're good friends and they're great musicians, and can't wait to chat with them.
Yeah, I hadn't told them that, so we're just going to make sure they're ready, not picking their noses or anything. But...
What, you hadn't told them that we consider them friends?
Yeah. Okay, so let's bring them in. Is that all right? Thank you. Doing all right?
Hello. Yeah, good. Thank you very much.
I'm going to bring up some bits and pieces, but we're just going to actually refer back to a comment that somebody made earlier. I don't know if you quite heard that, but when Zeb was on, someone said, oh, Mel and Kev said, we feel a collaboration coming on, Zeb and John's Iron Bridge. And I've actually rooted out my copy of the Iron Bridge by John. I need to hold it in shot, but the Iron Bridge by John Ward and drawings by Mark Burrell. And yeah, maybe you just tell us a bit about it, because you look a little bit younger there, John, so it's not a brand new project.
Yeah, I wrote it when I was 12. So. Yes, the Iron Bridge is a long poem, basically, and I can hear people already going, "Oh God, that sounds awful." But it's hopefully very accessible, and it's the history of Lowestoft. Although it doesn't mention Lowestoft, it's all the history of Lowestoft, and various characters, really, mostly fictional. And I wrote it over a period of time, just as a hobby, just for fun, and eventually it got published. And I listened to a lot of oral history recordings from the Lowestoft Library in order to write it, to get everything accurate historically, even though they say the characters are sort of fictional. And it goes backwards and forwards in time, and has been performed quite a few times by Nick Murray Brown. Some of you will know Nick. Yeah. And Andy Jennings, storyteller. And so it's, and most recently it's been done, the introduction has been put up on the internet with Xenia Horn playing harp. And Andy, second name's gone, reading the introduction part to it. So yeah, it's something that's been knocking around a while, actually. Missed Radio 4 narrowly a couple of times by about 10 minutes, because it's about 10 minutes too long, I think, for Radio 4.
As if, yeah. Yeah. So we, as we said with Zeb, we've had. I'm only going to say this to you now. Zeb's gone, but we had more comments from people wanting you guys to come on. But we've we have had. It's kind of evolved this weekly session, and we started to get some guests in. And in fact, someone said last week, because we had El Pony Pisado from Barcelona, and somebody said that group was fantastic, but what about John and Lynne Ward? That's what they said. So we've got these Spanish guys coming here stealing our guest slots, and
typical Europeans.
We thought let's redress the balance, Actually, there's a comment there from Janice Marjoram. Happy memories of train spotting on the Iron Bridge with my big brother Robert Knights, and a few more actually. Carly Franklin, hello John and Lynn. Michelle, hi Carly. Evening. Hi,
Michelle. Hold on, I did not know Janice Marjoram was Robert Knight's sister.
Oh, they're fibbing.
Yeah, must be. Paul's going into something now. So how have you guys found lockdown? Have you I guess like many musicians, just everything has stopped and gone?
Yes, that would be fair to say. Yeah. It's been interesting to have to chase around deadlines and things, and that's been quite relaxing, that side of it. But the other part is the lost gigs and all the lost things we were going to do.
Well, it started off a bit of a worry, thinking, oh my God, how are we going to eat and things like that.
Yeah.
But actually, we've managed to scrape along, and actually we've really enjoyed the downtime and the getting back to basics a bit. We've done lots and lots of gardening, and we usually grow our own vegetables and fruit and stuff, and we love the garden. But this year, it's been a real opportunity to expand that a bit and start growing things we've not grown before, and trying brassicas. For any gardeners out there, we're trying brassicas this year, and they're a bit more difficult.
I've been growing my own hair.
Yeah, we're all doing that. Yeah.
Brilliant.
So it's been kind of, there's been, pluses and negatives, pros and cons, as they say.
Yep. Yeah. The glass is half full.
Absolutely, yeah, for sure. But you've also been doing some live streams as well, haven't you? I'm just going to bring up your web links actually. On Facebook, you've been doing some live streams, and have you got any others planned?
Well, the next one we haven't got a live, what we call cyberbus planned yet, because on Saturday, as you've already mentioned, we're going to be doing the First Light thing. You know, a few songs when First Light would have been, because we'd have been playing at First Light this year, and of course we'd have been singing with the choir, with your good selves.
Yeah.
So we're all missing.
Absolutely, and we've got some of the Broads Roots choir members watching. One, Michelle Gallagher, Evening Lynn and John, and Carly Franklin, another member. She says, hello, John and Lynn.
Hello to both, and I just a little thing for Michelle there. There you go.
Just for you, Michelle. She's going to be watching now.
So do we know any of Carly? I don't think
we do.
We haven't got a Carly song.
Yeah.
Well, you are a wonderful songwriter, John. So we'll give you till the end of the session. And
yeah. So we've got like a WhatsApp group for the choir, and people, we normally kind of share when we're normally meeting. If we have to change the venue or there's some news or something, we share some info in there. And since lockdown, it's taken on a fantastic kind of become a bit of a support thing for a lot of people, and people have been sharing some kind of maritime heritage articles that have been on the radio or in newspapers, etc. And people have been checking in with people, and it's been lovely to just kind of watch that. But today, Sue Day, who I know is watching, said, please, can you talk about First Light Festival this evening? So we've kind of done that, but I guess if you're not local to us, you won't know what First Light Festival is. So I'll do a bit of an intro on it, and then maybe John and Lynn could mop up anything I've missed. But First Light is a festival that's happened just the once so far last year, and it seemed to come out of nowhere. And I think as a ex-Lowestoft resident and Lowestoft born and bred, it's fair to say that there was a lot of kind of people thinking that it'd be another thing that will happen and won't be any good, but was actually a fantastic event. And I know a lot of people who maybe thought that also were kind of gracious enough to change their minds and say how fantastic it was. It brought thousands and thousands of people to Lowestoft, and was a fantastic high quality event, and it ran for 24 hours from Saturday noon to Sunday noon across the weekend. And John and Lynn, along with their band, played on the main stage last year, and were due to again this year. And obviously, coronavirus, COVID-19 hit, and the festival has been cancelled, or at least the physical version. But First Light will be broadcasting across the weekend. They're going to do some live sessions of various things, and one of those is that John and Lynn are doing an online session. Isn't that right?
That's correct. Yes. Well, because I write quite a few songs about the local area. I mean, not exclusively by any means, but they pop up every now and then. So over the years, I've accumulated quite a lot of songs that I've written about the area, and one or two traditional ones, brought those into the repertoire as well. So we did this. We did it, as you say, First Light last year with those songs, a lot of those local ones, local songs for local people. What it was, and and people seem to appreciate that. So that's what we're going to do this time on Saturday. We're just going to do songs, mainly I think, that are related to the area in some way, and the history of the area and the culture and that. So
actually, that's a good point. Actually, is there one in particular, without spoiling your forthcoming set for First Light? Is there one that springs to mind for tonight?
Well, that sounds very sort of Bing Crosby and Frank Sinatra, doesn't it? Hey.
Yeah.
Hey, let's think. Do I know? Well, we were thinking, what could we do that would encapsulate some of this? And we thought maybe the ebb and the flow, possibly. Maybe that's what we're thinking, weren't we? Yeah. So yes, so we were going to do this. Or have we started it with the choir? Hadn't we?
Yes, we have.
Yeah, we have. That's right. Yeah. So the ebb and the flow is a song that takes the town's history, the industries that have come and gone, because of anyone who lives in Lowestoft and towns like it, it was as you've already mentioned, a prime fishing town, and it was a shipbuilding town, and it was a canning town, and it was, it goes on and on. And all those have gone, but the town has managed to sort of keep going and survive somehow. It hasn't actually dropped off into the sea yet. So this song mentions the fishing and the shipbuilding and the tourist. We forget there's a tourist resort, a big tourist resort in its heyday, and the welding and the SLP and that sort of thing.
And actually, that song, although it is specifically about Lowestoft, it could apply to any of those East Coast fishing towns that have just lost all their fishing and declined over the since about 1980, I think. So we've got so much in common with those fishing towns all up the East Coast. And by the way, Paul, thank you for singing my favourite workers' song, Union Miners.
Yes,
I love that song. It's really great, and thanks for doing such a good version of it. Have you heard, talking about the fishing towns, have you heard the Wilson brothers doing a version of that song? They do a great version as well.
No, but I will by the end of the night, Lynn.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Yeah, I'll have a listen.
Yeah, the Wilsons are from the northeast of England. They're friends of ours, and they're very big on the folk scene. And
they when they sing it, the whole sort of room sort of rumbles. They're very loud.
They're big guys.
They're a bit special as well, aren't they? Yeah.
They are. They did a very good album and a DVD as well, which I'd recommend anybody check out if you're into maritime and everything. Which they did a thing with Sting.
Yeah, I saw it. Yeah.
Yeah, called The Last Boat, The Last Ship. Thank you. And it was, and when I first saw that, I was totally knocked out by it. It's a brilliant album, brilliant DVD, and the Wilsons got to do it in New York and stuff. It was really good.
Yeah. Also had Jimmy Nail, I think, on that as well.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah,
it's fantastic. If anybody's not seen it, not checked it out, do yourself a favour. I love it. Really good.
And so the other thing is, so we mentioned briefly the Broad Roots Folk Choir, and that was a fairly recent kind of launch, really, but based on a lot of work that that you guys, John and Lynn, have been doing with kind of, as the name would suggest, kind of bringing up Broad Roots talent, and that's part of the fact that you curate the Broad Roots stage at Folk East, but also other projects that encompass that. I know you've done lots of folk projects locally and further afield, but I guess probably about 6 months ago or early part of the year, we launched, or we started the Broad Roots Folk Choir, and the idea was that the occasion of performing at First Light with yourselves was the reason that we would start, but that hopefully we would find other opportunities to perform and sing some of your songs, John, about Lowestoft. And so you mentioned The Ebb and the Flow. That was one of the songs that we that we were kind of learning, and it was slightly new arrangement for. But what could you just mention what album that's from? I'm going to flick up your website as you do that, but I know it always feels a bit awkward when people say that, but we put a donations link up ourselves, and I'm going to bring one up for you as well. If anybody would like to just support either through a donation or by buying the album, it goes a long way at the moment. It really does. So I'm going to also bring up your webpage, which is
johnward.org.uk.
Thank you. I was searching for the actual link, but that's the one, johnward.org.uk. Yeah.
Don't forget to put the UK in, because I understand you get I've been told if you don't put the UK in, you get a sex therapist in Atlanta.
You've been told, haven't you, John? Yeah. So I understand. Something like that. Yeah. So could we? I know you've had a bit of a throat, John, but could we persuade you to give us a rendition of one of the songs?
Yes. Yeah. I've seemed to have developed a bit of a problem with my voice just recently, the last few days, and so we'll have a go. See what happens.
It's gone all husky and sexy.
Well, it's that sex therapy taking over, isn't it?
Yeah.
So this is The Ebb and the Flow. We talked about it earlier. Anybody who knows it, join in. The harbour is full, The harvest is in, the fisher girls are busy, the barrels to the brim. There's 1,000,000 tons of herring steam out on these tracks. I've been out and caught my share, and now at last, thank God, I'm back. So I can't imagine what they mean when they say we'll fish the oceans clean. How would I in this old town survive? Oh, the ebb and flow. Something dies and new shoot grows, and you and I, and this old town we know, are all moving with the ebb and the flow. These are skilled hands, hard and callous through the years. They can make a ship like we've always done round here. And though the work is dirty, where there's mud there's brass. The yards turn out some fine old ships, I know it will always last. So I can't imagine what they mean when they talk about redundancies. Without the yards this town and I would starve. Oh, the ebb and flow. Something dies and new shoot grows, and you and I, and this old town we know, are all moving with the ebb and the flow. I serve behind the bar for the show at the end of the pier. There's so much work to find when the summer season's here. They come down in their droves from the city's far inland for a week by the beach, bingo, sea and sand. So I can't imagine what they mean when they say the crowds will one day leave. They fly to Spain, this town will surely die. Oh, the ebb and the flow. Something dies, a new shoot grows, and you and I, and this old town we know, are all moving with the ebb and the flow. And so the gas rig grows, like a tower block it stands, filling up the space when the fishing boats used to land. The shipyard shut for good, and now I'm working here, welding day and night. We got orders that last throughout the year. But I imagine that one day when the gas and oil pass away, but come what may, this town and I will just carry on. Oh, the ebb and flow. Something dies and new shoot grows, and you and I, and this old town we know, are all moving with the ebb and the
Very nice, lovely.
Thank you very much.
Wonderful sound, really wonderful. Carly Franklin, she says, "What a lovely song, John and Lynn."
Thank you,
Claire
Carl.
Louise Langley, she's given you 9 claps, which is triggering my OCD.
Yeah.
but 95 something. Sally Hardman, she asked the question, random question for John. Did he ever play in a ceilidh band on the back of a float during the Lowestoft Carnival Parade about 1 million years ago?
I think it was 900,000 years ago, to be precise.
Yeah.
But,
Not that anyone.
yeah, I seem to remember that would have been Skip Hire, or it might have been Fanacapan. I can't remember. Yes, I did vaguely remember it. We did play at Zeb's birthday, as he already mentioned. That was the Skip Hire ceilidh band. So yes, I believe I did.
Well, it goes to show that Sally obviously thinks you haven't changed your appearance in 900,000 years. You look just as fresh as you did back then.
There we are. There's the evidence I have.
It's the Peter Pan for the folk world.
Peter Pan of sounds.
Thank you both. That was a lovely song. It was a firm favourite of mine since I first heard it. Really, really lovely. And as you were saying, it really does describe how Lowestoft, much like many other towns, as you said, seaside towns, especially up the east side of the country, have really had to adapt and change. And there's peaks and troughs, as with all life. But it's constant, isn't it? You either get on with it or you die trying. And
yeah, I think in time, I think Lowestoft will probably towns will come back up again. Then we'll have to look out for gentrification. We were been over to New York a couple of times, and you walk around there, and the places that were once the sort of
tenements,
some of the worst places to live, have gone totally the other way, and you try and buy a cup of coffee there, and you can't afford it.
There's a process. I think they're kind of down and out, these towns, and kind of pretty underprivileged, and so they're cheap places to live. So the bohemians and the artists move in because it's cheap living, and they can, pursue their art, and then become gentrified because they become synonymous with art and bohemia and
success. Yeah.
It happened at Montmartre, didn't it?
Yeah.
Montmartre was a dive, wasn't it?
It's interesting, isn't it? That, that happens to towns in the UK as well.
So look, social politics, all for nothing tonight. You can tune in for free. So there's just a couple more comments I'm going to share, actually. Robert Knights, we're all related in some way in Lowestoft. Well, you can go back far enough, Robert. And yeah, sure, that is the case. Sally Harvey just added to her comment. She says, "It poured with rain, and I think you played with my dad."
Right.
So small world, hey. Well, look, we're we normally finish about 9, and it was worth running over. We're just going to finish, I think, with a song from Paul, and a big thank you to you both for joining us. I know a lot of people, specifically within our chorus, but also further afield, will really appreciate us bringing you on, because people have been badgering us for several weeks since we've started having guests on. So thank you very much. And where could we? I guess the albums are on the website. Is that must be the best way to support musicians still, is to buy an old-fashioned CD rather than, because Spotify, is it like you get 10 million streams and you might get half a pence? Is it something like that?
It's that sort of thing, yeah. Exactly. But it is, the CDs are online. Yeah, that's the place to get them. They are. It does help us more. Yes, it's true. Thank you for that. But yes, Spotify, and if there are people who just don't buy CDs anymore. And that's fair enough.
The fools.
So obviously we do have to say Spotify and Apple Music and Amazon. You can download and stream from there as well. Yeah.
There is a virtual hat as well on the on the website page that you're flashing up. It's paypal.me.
There it comes underneath there. It's already coming across.
John Lynne Music.
So if you can't read that quite fast enough, anyone at home watching, it's www.paypal.me/John Ward Music, and it's a virtual hat. And I know you've done that before, and you've actually then donated some of your money to some local kind of charitable causes, notably the Lowestoft Food Banks, which is a kind of a cause a lot of people's hearts. But being a cause at the in someone's heart, it doesn't always mean they'll give money to it. So very, I take my hat off to you for doing so, especially when it's a very barren time.
Well, there's a lot of people worse off with it than us
Yeah.
in this situation. A lot of people really struggling, I think. So,
Is there time just to say a quick shout out to the theatre?
Always.
Stephen, because
absolutely.
John has been commissioned to produce a piece about lockdown and the experiences of lockdown through the Seagull Theatre and also the Arts Council of England. And I just want to give a shout out to the Seagull Theatre. Again, if I know that if you are local, you will know the Seagull Theatre, but the theatre has had to close like all other theatres and venues, and it needs all the support it can get. So a big shout out to Seagull Theatre. When things get up and running again, please seek out the theatre, buy tickets for the productions there and the concerts there, and give them your support because they really deserve it. It's a great little community theatre.
Absolutely, I second that, and Paul.
And theatre your hearts as well, of course.
Yeah, and we meet there as a choir, but absolutely they're working in the community, for the community, and with the community, and not a lot of theatres can really authentically say that. So big up to the Seagull Theatre, and please, as Lynn has said, please support them by patronising them when it's all okay and safe to do so.
Yeah, and there'll be more about the commission that John's got to produce a piece. We'll sort of give news about that sort of every so often as it progresses.
Lovely, fantastic. Yeah, thank you. So I don't know, Paul, is there anything you want to check while the guys are on?
No, I think that just about covers everything. Thank you so much, John and Lynn. Such a beautiful sound tonight with that lovely song.
Thank you.
I would just point out that although it does support to buy music, it's not. You're getting something very, very special in return for your support when you buy a John Ward CD.
Oh, listen to him. He wants a freebie, John. That's what he wants. He's angling for something. No, just one final comment, which I think is absolutely right. As Michelle said, well said, Lynn. Yeah, well said. And then Ben Southern, thank you, Lynn and John. So the comments normally come in after people have left, but we know you've been popular because you've been very popular. That people have been asking us, when are you going to get John and Lynn on? When are they going to make an appearance? So thank you very much.
Cheers. Thank you, everyone.
Take care to you both.
So, thank you.
Thanks for all your support out there, guys. It's great.
Bliss. Thanks. All right. See you later. Bye. So John and Lynne Ward from the John Ward Music and the John Ward Band. And if you want to get any more information about them, you can see it there on their web links, johnward.org.uk. On Facebook as John-Ward-Music. Twitter is John Ward Music, and John and Lynn are also on Spotify. You can support them, and the best way to do it is not to stream things, but just to buy a good old fashioned CD. As with all the guests, we say please consider it. But and
the same applies for us. For the Rogues Shanty Chorus and the Rogues Shanty Boys, we have CDs available. If you go to shanties.co.uk, you should find links to both of those pieces of merchandise.
Yeah, lovely. Well,
I don't know. Go on.
Paul. No. You.
No, I insist.
Okay, so I'm going to do my final song, and then we're going to maybe Paul as well, and we're going to wrap things up a bit. And this is not one from the Rogues Shanty Chorus repertoire, and so I'm not going to bring the words out. I'm just going to have a go at singing this, and it's a great song called "Sugar in the Hold." Well, I wish I was in Mobile Bay, screwing cotton all the day. But I'm stowing sugar in the hole below, 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 below. Hey ho, below, below, stowing sugar in the hole below. Hey ho, below, below, stowing sugar in the hole below. Low and low, 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 low. The J.M. White, she's a new design, stern astern. She's mighty fine, she can beat any bone on the New Orleans line. Stone sugar in the hole below. Hey ho, below, below. Stone sugar in the hole below. Hey ho, below, below. Stone sugar in the hole below. Low, 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 low. Tell the maid we got bad news. Can't get no steam from the fire and the flue. The engineer, heated bellow, stone with sugar in the hole below. Hey ho, below, below, stove with sugar in the hole below. Hey ho, below, below, stove with sugar in hole below. Low, 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 stove with sugar in the hole below. The captain's on the quarter deck. He is scratching away at his old neck. Heave the lava lead and let her go. Stone with sugar in the hole below. Hey ho, below, below. Stone with sugar in the hole below, below. Hey ho, below, below. Stone with sugar in the hole below. I sing hey ho, below, below. Stone with sugar in the hole below. Hey ho, below, below, stowing sugar in the hold below. Okay, so a little song. We might cover that at some point. We have been asked for it now and again. But yeah, known as Sugar in the Hole Below, or Hey Ho Below, or Way Ho Below, all those titles in the Round Folk Index.
Couple of comments before we roll the credits, and over the credits I'll just give you a little teaser of a song that we may well be featuring for you guys very soon. Linda Boyce, brilliant evening, thank you Linda, thank you for joining us tonight. Maggie Clark, thanks for 2 great guests this evening. Well, both our special guests, or all 3, were really fantastic, and nice to have people that are local to Lowestoft and have a real passion for championing and whatnot, the locality.
Whatnot, lovely boys, thank you. Oh, look, hang on. Claire Louise Langley, she's upped her clap game. Can't even count how many. And then Janice Marjoram says, all those CDs makes excellent gifts. Shop early for Christmas. Good idea, Janice. Absolutely, yes. So you can catch them on johnward.org.uk. You must put the .uk.
We must remember our word, Gnetton. Marion Bichette, she wonders if it's something that is knitted. For example, a Gnetton hat.
Very good. So yeah, so we if you haven't been watching all the way from the beginning, we feature a word from Suffolk Words and Phrases by Edward Moore, printed in 1823, and that's based on the fact that Suffolk had no kind of real dialect or even language, as some counties or areas did, but certainly it had a lot of words and phrases peculiar to it, some of which still stand when you look in this book and are used, and I recognize them from people, but we deliberately try and pick some that aren't. So I'm going to read out what it is. And a Gnetton is an early apple, the same perhaps or nearly as the Margaton. Some of us call it Juneaton, as in that is eaten in June, and quote this to prove the comparative lateness of our seasons in the degenerate days, for early as it is rarely or never edible in June. Cocker, however, countenances this traditional commendation, Gnettings or Genettings, which were small apples ripe in June. His dictionary was published about 1700. So there you go. It was apples that were in theory just fallen or ideally ready to eat in June. Anyway. So a few more
comments. One from Carly, thank you for a lovely evening. From Jackie Draper, thanks guys, great evening. Marion Bouchert, thanks gents, appreciate the nod to Gordon Lightfoot, he is pretty special. And Pavel, he says, I like to listen to you for 2 reasons. One is music, and second one is to practice English. He's still doing his best to understand us. Well, I think you're doing very, very well.
Yeah, you're not alone. The English people can't quite understand us either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
English might not be the best description of how we speak.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, have you got one more, Paul? You said it was a bit of a teaser of something upcoming.
Yeah, just over the credits. This is a famous old ska song.
Let me tell you about Sally Brown. Sally Brown.
It is Sally Brown, but it's not that one. So this is a shanty. It's called Sally Brown. This is a version or an arrangement based on the Planksty arrangement around about the early 80s. And we're going to say thank you very much and good night with this. And thank you, Jude Bennett. First time here and really enjoyed it. Well, hopefully it won't be your last. And we'll just finish by saying thank you very, very much to People's Health Trust for their support and to everybody for watching and joining in. It's really, really, really lovely to get your comments and engagements with us, especially for the silly competitions that we do. And it's great to know how the songs are going down, whether or not you're singing along at home or not. And especially it's great for our guests to know that people are tuning in and appreciating and enjoying their contributions too. So thank you very much.
Yeah.
Are you good?
Yeah, all yours. Credits don't last long though, so.
No, neither does this song.
Okay.
Sally Brown is a nice young lady. Way we roll and go. And we roll all day and we roll all night. Spend our money on Sally Brown. Her father likes a tarry sailor. Way we roll and go. And we roll all day and we roll all night. Spend our money on Sally Brown. And we roll all day and we roll all night. We spend our money on Sally Brown. Spend our money on Sally Brown.